we're really, really excited to be closing out the day today to talk about, it's real talk. And no one to do it better with than Shai Rose and Eric, who have been in the trenches and know how to fight the good fight. So we're really going to be talking about how you save time. We know time is money, it's resource, and we're in a resource-depleted moment. There's so many competing priorities. There's the state of the world. A lot of us are losing sleep over that state of the world sometimes. But we want to talk about some time savers today, and we want to connect back to that why. So all of us are here and in this space because of a why. We don't just do this stuff because it lines our pockets, let's be honest. This is work that comes from a deep place of passion. I get to see that passion through our clients, through our partners every day, and I get to see it through our own staff here at Engaging Networks. So we're gonna kind of dig in with some questions and just get started. I know some folks are still trickling in from other rooms, and we're gonna also save some time for questions at the end, so feel free to go ahead and use your Whova app to add those questions in to get us going. So, should we start with some introductions? I think that's a good place. All right, Shai Rose, please.
Yes. Yes, I'm Shai Rose, and I'm from UNHCR. So I've been there for just over 6 years now, and kind of got my start in like digital advertising world. I don't know if I need to go into the whole story. So yeah, I'm here now. Cool. And I run our donor acquisition program, and right now I'm also heading up our individual giving program. So it's the retention side of it as well.
Hello. I'm Eric. How close should this microphone be?
I think
Out
it's
there?
perfect.
All right. I'm Eric Rubido. I'm founder and CEO at Yibu Digital. I have been at the intersection of what I would say is technology and digital fundraising for about 20 years. I entered the sector accidentally through an organization called Journalists for Human Rights and managed to, I guess I've never left. So we're a digital agency. We work with organizations on technology implementations, revenue development, that kind of stuff. So.
All right, everyone, and I am Faizan Farouk. I use he, him pronouns. I am the head of sales here at Engaging Networks. Very honored to just be passing 2 years here at Engaging Networks, but newly in the leadership role. And I get to sit along my amazing colleague, Leah Mears, who kicked us off this morning, who is a local hometown girly of Toronto here. And one of the things that I love about being here at Engaging Networks is we are a global organization headquartered in London, United Kingdom, to be clear, not the London here. The other headquarter we have is in Washington, D.C., and then, of course, here with deep roots in Toronto and throughout Canada. I've been in this space of technology and nonprofits for 17 years. Prior to that, I started in cancer research. And I was always just, how does funding get to mission, and how do your dollars land for actual cause and cure? That's where I really got started. So then joined the Obama campaign and helped pass something called Obamacare, American Affordable Care Act, which is under jeopardy, but that's okay. We'll cross that bridge today later. But I've always been about the why, and I know my why very, very well, and that's what we're here to really kind of lean into even more today. So, in times of really big stress, to lighten up the mood, what is your fight song? Or shall I call it something else, like a hype song, perhaps?
Very American to say fight song. I'm just going to say that. Do you have one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
I had to think about this because you gave us a little oh, by the way, I'm going to ask you this. And I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to panic.
They had a 3-minute warning.
And I think thinking about it, it's more like currently, I think I'm going back to Nirvana right now. And it's, so I think like maybe Smells Like Teen Spirit right now. That little guitar at the beginning would probably get me pretty hyped up. So.
Love it.
I don't know if I have a song per se, but I've really randomly gone back to Bollywood. And it's just like, I'm just like listening to the classics, and I'm like sometimes embarrassed when if my friend's like, what is happening with this playlist? So right now I think I'm just kind of going back to like maybe childhood comfort.
Is it
kind
like
of what it is.
Kuch Hona Ho or Kabhi
Yeah,
Khushi
yeah,
Gam?
yeah. Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Yeah.
You know the song.
I love it. So I'm a big Britney Spears fan. So mine is Work, but I'll redact the second word. That's my song. But some Shakira was great too, and I love Bollywood music as well. All right, so we'll get into some of the more substantive part that I'm sure you all are here for. But in all seriousness, I mean, I do think music helps us get through some hardships and some times where you're just like, I don't have enough time or hours, so it's just a mental health thing for me. So I wanted to lead with that. All right, how do you acknowledge donors in a way that feels personable, even when it's automated? And this is a question for both of you. You, Shyrose, through the lens of a client, and you know, obviously you've used our product for a number of years. And then Eric, for you, how do you help organizations in getting started with automation, which feels like a big burden, frankly?
I can go first. So I would say, I know like we all kind of get automation's maybe sometimes a bad word kind of thing because you're like, it's not personal. But I think there's still ways that you can make it personal and like beyond the name and stuff like that. Like you have to do that. Like that's table stake at this point. But like it's even for us because we're not as University of Ottawa, you guys had like 216 or something like that different fund codes. We don't have that many. We have maybe 30 is probably what we have. And so it's just like really customizing what did the person give to, and are you acknowledging that? Like, are you acknowledging you just gave to Syria? And then give a couple of sentences about what our work in Syria is, and kind of make that consistent throughout the different welcome journey pieces of it. So it's in the email, it's in the SMS that goes out, and it's in the direct mail piece, right? So it's kind of connecting all those pieces together to make sure that you're kind of talking about why they came and what they gave to. So sometimes it's like, so it's kind of just having these pre-written variable copy, and then you kind of plug and go. And I think as much as you want to be able to do more, just being able to do that, to me, I think is still pretty good.
I think I would tend to agree with that. Like I think one of the things that like when someone makes that donation, like that's your little golden window, right? Like everything that happens in that like 5-minute experience, hopefully faster, but like everything that happens in that experience, like that's it. Because in 10 minutes, they'll have 73 new emails in their inbox. They will like all of these things will have happened. And like everything that you think is like, oh, and then they're going to wait for these things to, no, they're gone. They moved on. So like, I actually think like thank you pages are wildly underused. And again, to what you were saying, like contextualizing what you've actually done. Like, you know, what are you giving to? Like so many thank you pages are just so generic. It's like, thanks for your gift. You know, like it's like, yeah, but like, tell me impact. Like, you know, paint me a story. Invite me to do something. And then I think like, there's this opportunity for contextual like automations, right? So like if you've done something, you can set up triggered events that just sort of like, hey, if a person does this, give them that, so that it feels authentic, it feels in the moment, and you're kind of delivering that information while they're still engaged with you, because in about 8 minutes, like they're on to something else.
So why did we ask that question, you might be wondering? Because we know there's an upfront investment in getting that started. So quick show of hands, how many folks already have a marketing automation with more than 2 sort of built-in next steps? Right? How many more than 5? All right. Okay, cool. So I was curious how this was going to go. So that kind of shows, we are thinking maybe about the next step, but not what follows that. And I think with data insights, you can really, really get very specific and strategic, and it can be a huge time saver. I know some folks here who've built out a 46 series automation, which is very anxiety inducing for some of us. But I do think that that's the moment we're in. So to get started, what kind of convincing did you need to do on sort of breaking through the barrier of this doesn't feel personal enough? Automation is too heavy of a lift and we don't have the resources. How did you navigate that internally?
I think one of the good examples that kind of recently has just really proven itself to us is like, and I saw there's a different kind of automation now too, so I wrote a note of like, I need to figure that one out. But basically credit card expiry. That's a different type of automation, but it's like so many, like it's just like low-hanging fruits, like the term. But we had so many donors that just for very simple reasons were no longer giving to us because the credit card expired and we forgot to ask them to update it. We forgot to call them to do something. And so it became a bigger thing to us too because our team has just become even more short-staffed, that being able to do these automations and making sure that we're at the bare minimum doing that and saying, hey, just even email us back your new expiry date and we'll figure it out and do it for you. I think those things have really helped because then it's not requiring a person to be physically, like, not even physically, but just kind of being able to answer the phone. It could be just do this on your own time and send it to us kind of thing. So that it was something that just like, when we were able to look at the numbers, it was something like the team was like, wow, like we can see the complete difference there and just kind of, there's a buy-in kind of for that sake.
And Eric, how do you help organizations navigate that, whether you're aligning with that internal champion or you're trying to just get folks to take that initial chance? And what kind of successes have you seen?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to the idea of like, you're investing now to save future self, like a bunch of pain. Like to your point, you can email every single person where their credit card expires, or you can set up an automation that does that for you, and you don't have to think about all of the credit cards that are expiring and all that kind of stuff. So I think there's a lot of value, and I actually think through our conversations, a lot of organizations understand the value. I found that a lot of organizations just don't know where to start or how, which one to pick or what to do. A lot of organizations will kind of say, oh, we've got a welcome journey, and that's maybe 3 emails. This is going to date me, but I remember when 1 email a week, that was your automation series, right? Like we're going to send them one on this day, and then a week later we'll send them that one. And kind of what I was saying earlier, in the course of a week, that person is going to receive 400 emails between the one you sent and the next one. So if we think of it from our perspective, it's oh, well, they've received our 3 emails, right? Once a week. But if you look at it from the donor's perspective, it's 1 email amongst 500. So actually, one of the things we're sort of advocating for is a much faster automation and kind of onboarding when someone first interacts with the organization. I think we're pulling it from what we're seeing in the corporate for-profit packaged good type of stuff, where when someone when you interact with one of these brands, you are inundated, maybe a little too much, but from a lot of directions. And I think that in order to sort of compete with that, we have to be more present. We have to be, putting things in the inbox or SMS or whatever it is, much quicker. And yeah, I think in terms of how we're working with organizations on that, sometimes they're ready, and sometimes it's let's just pick one thing. Let's pick the credit card updater. Let's pick the welcome series. Let's just pick one thing and get that automation going so that you can prove the return on investment from a monetary standpoint, sure, but also from hey, we no longer have to think about this process that bogs us down every Thursday afternoon when we all realize that oh, we got to deal with this thing, right? So
yeah. So quick show of hands, how many folks in the room already have a tool like credit card updater added? All right. Too few hands.
The rest of you should run out now and do it.
So here's the thing. What we're talking about feels basic, because it kind of is. Yet, as I'm asking for show of hands, there's not a lot of hands. So sometimes it is back to the basics. And in tech, there's always the new fun, shiny thing that folks get really, really excited about as a technology company. we are also pitched on a lot of things that whether it should be something we integrate with, it should be something we partner with, or it's just something to help our own efficiencies. And a lot of times those new shiny tools come around and you realize that they're actually not adopted very well, they're not implemented very well, and they're sort of left to their own device. Some work, some don't. So sometimes going back to the basics is there. But if you were to think of a tool, and I had a better, more eloquent question for this, what advice would you give to an organization that is hesitant to lean into automation because of limited capacity? But moreover, the question is related to if you were to choose a tool that could help you with some efficiencies, what might that be, and how would you go about getting folks to not look at necessarily new and shiny, but effective?
I would say that like I think we all like, and I'm guilty of it too, like just to be embarrassed of like, oh my God, we're not doing that. So I think maybe it's like get over that part of it and just be like, let's be real. And I think 2 different presentations today too said like do an audit of what you, and I'm not saying go do an extensive audit, right? But it's like, what do you think your welcome journey or whatever journey is? And then go look at what it actually is, right? Like, I think in my head, our welcome journey is great, but then it's like when we looked at it, we're like, no, but the data takes this much time, and then this happens, and this happens, and this happens. And I'm like, oh my God, it's actually a longer welcome journey than I thought it was, right? And so it's like, how do we fix those data? Like, how do we make this time frame shorter? But it's also then, so it's like looking at what your systems are and kind of being like, let's really map out what's the realistic thing that's happening here and what we'd like it to be. And it's like, fix one of the things. Like, I think all of us are just like, the growing trend is I think like everyone is working at less, like there's less staff, there's less capacity, there's less people on your team. So like be okay with that and be realistic about that and just be like, what is the one thing that we're going to tackle this month that is going to be different, that's going to help fix things, and be okay and content with that. So like to me, it was also right now, like I would say, I think welcome journeys are still like kind of maybe that, I don't know if that's a tool per se, but like that to me is just like, if you're not welcoming your donors correctly and you're not doing it quickly, then you're kind of losing them before they even really get to know you.
Yeah.
I think for me, like if we were to think about like, what is that one tool I would pick, like it's probably email. Like it's, like as uninteresting as email sounds and as maybe overdone as email is, from a digital perspective, most organizations are still raising most of their money through email. So I wouldn't necessarily jump to something past email. My natural inclination is to be like, oh, it's artificial intelligence and it's but it's like, no, that's not going to raise us any money right now. So I think I think email and automations, because if you really think about, like if you set up automations in a way that they're contextual to the interactions that people are having. Like, yes, there's the welcome series, like, hey, we have this thing and it's timed and it happens after you, and you sort of join or make a donation. But there's so many things, there's so many moments in an average donor's life cycle. Like, hey, like I think people call them like gift anniversaries, right? Like you gave last year, this time. Yeah, we can try to remember to get this person to give in this campaign this same time next year, or we can just automate the fact that like, we send them a thank you and said, hey, did you know this time last year you gave us a gift and here's all the cool stuff we've done with it, and you probably don't even have to ask for it. They bet you they'd give again. You probably ask just in case, but like, I think that there's so much in those types of interactions. Like, I got an email from my university, it's gonna date me, that I graduated 20 years ago, 2 days ago. 3 days ago, whatever it was. They're like, on this day, 20 years ago, you graduated. And I was like, first off, you did not need to remind me of that. That was uncalled for at this hour in the morning. But the other thing was like, oh, that's a really cool, like, most of the communication I get from my university is like, not that useful. But I thought that was, it's still in my head, right? So I was like, that was a good use of like automation. And all they have to do is have a database and know who graduated when, and that's going out every year to, it's conditionalized, and it made me feel kind of good, but also old.
So I think that what we're really seeing is the channel is email, right? I made the mistake, perhaps, of there was this tool that was like, turn all of your old VHS into a digital chip and relive the memories. So I was like, ooh, that sounds like a perfect gift for my parents. And now I'm hounded every day. It's called Legacy Box. I've not bought it. I get text messages. I get email. I get Instagram ads. They follow me everywhere. It's creepy. But I'm talking about it on stage right now. So what's that next thing? How do you cast that wider net? We talked a little bit about corporate tools, right? This is obviously a corporation that has access to probably a lot more of my data than I want them to have access to. And they would have access to my childhood videos. So maybe I should learn from that. But what's that next tool? What's that other channel? What are other tactics? If you were to think about something to maybe stop doing or start doing, what might that be?
I can take that one. I think after email, I would probably go to remarketing. There is so much, and to your point, like there's so much power in, like, the digital environment is so widely decentralized. Like you leave a donation form, you leave an organizational website, and you go wherever you want, right? Like we all go somewhere different when we leave that. But the power of remarketing is that you can follow that individual to wherever they are. Like as an example, like to what you said, we were talking on a call the other day about with one of our clients, but like, oh, wouldn't it be awesome to like get a 360 camera and like do that inside your warehouse and like show the power and the impact of what you're doing? And like, so for half a second on this call, I Googled like, oh yeah, what are those cameras and like, how do they work? And I then went over to Facebook. Yeah, I use Facebook. I went over to Facebook and I clicked, and the ad for that camera was there. I've never looked at this thing before in my life, and I was like, that was fast. Like, so to me, like maybe you don't have to be that fast. That's a little creepy, but like that remarketing of like just putting the brand back in and like really in like being present. And you don't have to be following them around being like, give us money, give us money. Like you can, there's so many things that you can be doing. Like we've worked with organizations where we've implemented paid ad remarketing that is like thank yous after someone is given to the organization. Like there's a lot of stuff you can do because you essentially have that audience with you that you can follow around. So for me, it would be remarketing.
I don't know if it's a tool, but I would say like stewardship as well.
Stewardship.
I think we, again, like, you it can't just be appeal. So you have to be putting in stewardship there. You have to be telling the storytelling element is what people actually came in. They probably came in because of a story, because of something like that, and now you're kind of not doing that anymore. So I think the stewardship piece is really important, and just like the impact, and just like what is your dollars doing? Like kind of very like back to the basics too of like what $100, what happened kind of thing too, is to be able to kind of give these more tangible items, and just like the storytelling part of it, and just we also think, I think even Eric, when you said that too, when you send an email once a week and you're like, okay, that's enough. We kind of did our thing. But it's like, we seem to think a person's reading every single email and noticing every single email that we sent them, right? But I'm like, you could probably just resend them, like especially for Giving Tuesday, right? If someone hasn't opened an email, you can send the exact same email again to them. And like maybe they'll just see it now, right? So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just put maybe a different subject line, literally duplicate the email and call it a day.
Yeah. It's almost like you're saying, what's the why? So we really didn't rehearse this, let's be clear. But my final question to close is, what is your why? How do you stay connected to it? And how has your why changed over time? And while this is going to be a question that I pose to the two of you, I really want each of you to write down that. What is your why? And I'll re-ask the question one more time. What is your why? How do you stay connected to it? And has your why changed over time? The reason for this in this moment and in this time is we're really spread thin. There's a lot of burnout happening. People are leaving our sector. So reconnecting to that, I hope, is something we can really ground in as we depart and have, a great time at our happy hour, which is starting soon. So assignment, folks, write down your why, and I'm going to ask the question to either one of you, whoever wants to take it first.
Sure, I can go first. Yeah. So I think my why when I first fell into the sector was a combination of loving the idea that I could use my weird and wonderful brain about technology to help nonprofits do more stuff. Like that was, when I first fell into the space, that was what I was doing, and I was really excited about just like the shit I could build. Sorry, I'm probably not supposed to do that. The stuff I could build. And over time, as our team has grown, like we're 18 people now. No one lets me build anything. I'm kidding, but but it's true. Like there are people on our team now who are, better at everything that I used to do than me. And now my why is about trying to figure out how to give them as much space, runway, like whatever it is that they need, and try to like support them, and also try to get out of their way, because that's a founder problem. It's like, I can help you with anything. And then people are like, yeah, you could, or you could go away. Like, yes, you're right. That is probably the better answer. Get out of your hair. But I think like my why now is really trying to help my team, because like as a company, as an agency, we have agreed that like we are trying to change the world through the work of our clients. We are trying to help organizations raise as much money as we can through all the work that we do. And so we are connected to that as a group. And so for me, I'm connected to trying to help them do their job as best they can. So yeah, that's probably how it's changed over time.
Oh, okay. Mine's a bit, okay. I probably had like a quarter life crisis is what happened a while ago to me. And I had gone to Haiti on a Habitat for Humanity build. And it's 1 week, so I'm not saying I was there for long. But it was 1 week of just like feeling really uncomfortable of like, what is happening here? This is volunteerism. Didn't know that word until then. And kind of literally came back, applied for grad school like that week, moved to New York, and then did my thesis on volunteerism. And just kind of reconnected. So I was in the agency world, but then I was like, oh, I like this this nonprofit world. So I kind of found my like happy, I guess, medium as fundraising is what came to me. But also for me, my family came as refugees in 1972 when the Ugandan refugees came to Canada. And so it's just also like a very full circle moment for me of working for UNHCR now. So it's something that I haven't really, like I'm starting to understand like that story and that connection to me a little bit more now. I think I used to shy away from it, but I'm like, no, that's the reason that I am connected to this work. So it's just even reminding myself of why I'm doing it. And then I think this may be cliche too, but I think we work with genuinely nice people. Like this sector, you don't meet people, like other places I've worked, I'm just like, oh, right? But like,
Get me away from these people.
yeah, like on personalities, right? But I think you find personalities that you all kind of jive. And like that makes a massive difference, right? Like going to a place where you genuinely like the people that you work with. I think that makes all the difference too when you are, everything that's happening in this world right now too. So yeah, I had to try to remind myself that.
Amazing. It's about community, and that's why I love this conference. It's why I love the one that we just did in London and the one that we're going to be doing in DC. Every year we do 3 to bring community together, whether it's your tech provider, your agency, that you're a part of a nonprofit. I'll just ask the question to myself real quick. My why is really rooted in something very simple. It's my own rights. It's my own family, how that's defined. I think about my husband. I think about my son. I think about, I live in Florida, and when I come here, people are like, are you okay? And I was asked yesterday by a dear friend, when you travel throughout the world, are you scared? Are you scared to go through customs? My middle name is Mohammed. I'm a gay man. I'm not scared at all. I don't give a shit. Nobody's stopping me from traveling the world. No ideology or anything. I show up in any space. And the reason, even in stressful times of late nights, early mornings, we're a global time zone, unbound org. My why is because this is the community that is accepting. This is a community that I can just be my authentic self. There's no judgment, nothing but open arms. I love our clients, I love our partners, and my why is rooted in that. I know we're not the ones on the front lines, but even if we have a small impact in your success or in the success that you want others to achieve, that's that why, and that's what makes all of this worth it. We're only 60 some odd folks, I promise you that our team of folks here in these teal shirts or not in teal shirts are fighting day in and day out, fighting for you, and that's what it's all about. So we really want to thank you all for making time to be here. We have so much love for you all. Our clients are our investors. We don't take outside capital. There's a lot of reasons I can go into why that matters. But this has been a pleasure for us to be able to close this session out. I hope you all were able to reflect on your why, write that down, think about it, because unfortunately, it does eventually get better, but it might get worse before it gets better, and we've got each other to lean on. So there may be some questions from the audience, I'm not sure, but otherwise we're just gonna wrap and go have some good times.